I want you to think for a moment about all the writing you'll do in your life. Imagine if you could print up that writing. If it wasn't all on the cloud or lost on different computers that have crashed over the years, imagine if you could print up all the writing you've done and put it in front of you in a pile. How big would that pile be? Now, you may say you're not a writer or that you hate writing. And in fact, students in writing classes often say those things. But you're going to write a lot. You have written a lot. You will continue writing a lot. Almost every day. And I want you to think about what if you were to gather all the things you've read and put those into a pile. The amount of literacy work you're going to do in your life is vast, huge, massive, lots of words that mean the same thing, which just means basically you're going to pile things up so high you will never be able to see anything except for the literacy work. In writing classes, often, the work that we do is capped off by what's called a portfolio. Many writing classes ask you to do portfolios. A portfolio gathers the amount of work you do in a given situation and it presents it for an audience to think about and reflect on that work. Now, portfolio work is often a reflective act for the creator, but it also presents the work to somebody else. And portfolios are used in multiple situations. They're used by artists and architects to show the work that they can do. They're used by lawyers to create cases of evidence and case law and reflections for cases that they're working on. They're used by people who are applying for jobs to show what they can do in a workplace. They're used in writing classes to ask students to reflect on the work that they've done through that course, to present that work with reflection, sometimes with revision. We're going to create a portfolio here for our final assignment. And in that portfolio, we are kind of changing the idea of portfolio as just being this end of semester project to being a scrapbook. Now, scrapbooking has its stereotypes. We have beliefs about scrapbookers. And those beliefs are often based in biases we have against the work that people do to memorialize their life. A scrapbook captures a thing, a moment, an experience, an achievement, a family. It captures this thing, whatever it is that you want to capture, and it tells the story. And the difference between a scrapbook and a portfolio is sometimes a portfolio is just a file of papers. A scrapbook offers an interpretation, a feeling. It tries to capture both an emotional and intellectual reflection on a thing. So, we're creating a scrapbook for this semester. And that scrapbook is going to capture parts of your work, your discussion boards, your notes, your homework, your papers, your writing outside of class, your writing and personal writing. It's going to try to capture whatever work you feel will best show the work you've done during this semester, and in particular for this class. So you're going to make selections among that work, and you're going to present them in your scrapbook in a way to show both how you're feeling about it and how you're reflecting on it, and maybe what you're thinking about it as we move forward into your future semesters. I'm going to show you an example of a scrapbook that I've started to reflect on my work this semester. So let me call this up for you. So my scrapbook is incomplete, and I'll just be honest, I'm not creating this for any other reason other than to show you what you might do for a scrapbook, and I'm creating it to talk about what what choices I made in creating this, so that you can think about the choices that you'll make. And make no mistake, the scrapbook is, it's an assignment, and you've got to meet that assignment, but it's really about the choices you make to present your thinking and your feelings and your reflection and the work that you've done. So I start my scrapbook with a page. You can have a page like this if you want. You don't have to. You can use PowerPoint if you want. You don't have to. You can use whatever genre you want in order to create your scrapbook. I mean, I would love it if you turned in paper, real life paper that I could hold. Here's a digital scrapbook. I include a picture of kids writing. I include a picture of teaching online. I include a picture of a book with words falling out of it to reflect on reading. And this is a group of people sitting together. It's actually a group of philosophers, famous philosophers, sitting together over a meal to think about community. In your reflection, you are going to think about an introduction to your scrapbook, to your reflection over the semester. And that introduction is going to include a reflection on the work you've done and the work you're including in your scrapbook. So here's my reflection. I'll let you read it as you wish. You can pause the video and read it if you want. It's basically providing an overview of what this time period that I'm covering in my scrapbook, what I've gone through, and what I'm including in my portfolio, or I'm sorry, in my scrapbook. And then I've got another page that continues that thought. I then present my first document, my first artifact for my scrapbook, which is the first writing assignment that I had for this class that I'm teaching this semester. And I offer both the assignment itself. Oh, sorry, I forgot I was presenting a slideshow. I offer both the comment itself, and then I offer a reflection on that assignment. And then I'll continue. I'll continue thinking about the type of writing that I want to include. One of the things that I talk about in my introduction is including pieces of my public commentary, because I do a lot of public commentary. Some of it is significant, essays. Some of it is minor, like Twitter. And even though the Twitter can often have much more reach than any essay I would write. So I'm going to think about this public commentary, and I was going to create this slide or part of this slide with you. So in order to do that, I need to go to my public commentary. Sorry, I am having to call this up as we sit here. I could go to Twitter, I could go to Instagram, which I don't use very much, or I could go to Facebook. So Facebook is my easiest place to do this. So I'm going to share my Facebook, because if I try to go to Twitter, it's going to open up that file on my computer, and we're just going to be sitting here looking at each other for a while. Here's my Facebook page with all the different stuff that flies across on a daily basis. Let's go to my personal Facebook page and look at some of my posts and see if there's any here that I would like to include in my scrapbook. A picture of a cake my wife made, a picture of or a comment about my student conferencing that we had this past week, comment about a meme, a comment about how tired I am with conferencing. There's lots of stuff going on here, but let me find a more recent one, like this one. I wrote this this comment on my Facebook page. Actually, let me just do a screenshot of this. I wrote this comment on my Facebook page on the day that Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty for the murder that he committed. in the streets during a Black Lives Matter protest. So now I've copied this comment, and I'm going to put it here, and I'll talk about it in just a moment. I wanted to do this live for you, just to give you a sense of working. So let me stop sharing that screen and start sharing my Keynote program. So I'm going to paste that comment. I put this comment both on Twitter and on Facebook. I'm going to change the font size. Here's the font size, and let me stop sharing this for a second, and we will now go back to Safari. And let me go grab a headline as an image. Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty. So here's the Washington Post. I'm going to grab the picture of this. And then I'm going to stop share that. Go back to my Keynote. And then I'm going to include a picture of this screenshot. This is really fascinating seeing me flip between screens, I know, but what I'm trying to show you is the kind of work that you can do in doing your reflection. So I could probably have set this up a little bit better, but you know, if we were in a classroom, this is what I'd be doing to show you this, is just flipping through the computer. So here's the screenshot of the news story. And I'm going to include a citation here, Washington Post. Let me figure out the date. /19/21, and then Michael Hill's Facebook timeline 11/19/21, because I wrote this tweet like minutes after the decision was laid down. So I'm presenting the public writing that I've done, and then I would write some kind of reflection on this. This post on Facebook was made in response to the Rittenhouse decision. I was very angry when I made this post and decided to use my sarcasm and bitterness and reflect publicly on the decision. I could keep on going with an introduction there, but the idea here is to reflect on the writing that I'm including in the portfolio. I'm sorry, the scrapbook, and then to present that writing, present that reflection in a meaningful way, both for myself and for my audience. I'm not going to worry about cleaning that up right now because I've spent enough time clicking, and I'm sure that's really fascinating for you. So this scrapbook is trying to capture what it was like for me to write this semester. Just like your scrapbook is going to try to capture what it was like for you to write and read this semester. I'm going to share one more screen with you. And like we did with our non-essay writing project, you can go out and find some resources that might help you with this assignment. So if I just search digital scrapbook, I'm going to find lots of different resources here that might be helpful for me to figure out how to do a good digital scrapbook rather than doing it on paper. But again, I love seeing paper. Here's a good one. Kate Heldfeld's design. I really don't know this artist, but I looked at this site earlier, and this one gives some really good reflections on how to go about doing digital scrapbooking. Now, basically, what we're talking about is doing, if you're doing it digitally, doing a really good PowerPoint, a really good Prezi that you can present your writing and your reading and your reflections on that to an audience. But if you want resources, they're out there. Now, let's think again about purpose here. Why are you creating this? You are creating this to reflect on this course and on your writing and your reading throughout this semester, to present what you think you've done and what else you could have done and why you've done what you've done. It's about reflection, both for you and for me and for anybody else that might look at it, to capture this moment, both your thinking and your feeling about this moment, in particular this moment dealing with literacy. Use this as a way to think about your current state of literacy, to think about what you are leaving this class with and moving on to your future class as somebody who can do reading and writing at a college level. We'll talk more about this in class. You're going to read more, you're going to work some more, we'll workshop it some, but start thinking, start going through your work and figure out what you want to include.